Welcome to day 5. This is Sarah from Turn Back Time. I saw this picture of two bodies, one fat and one thin, a few years ago, and it's stuck in my mind. The sheer pressure on the body of the accumulated fat along every limb, around every organ, looks so damaging. It comes on so insidiously at first, doesn't it? Just a little and then more and more until we look like this. And this is what we're trying to reverse with this Turn Back Time eating plan. With all the sugar and processed foods we're no longer eating, with every day of healthy eating, with all the water we're incessantly drinking, we're turning back time to before all this fat piled on our bodies. By eschewing sugar, we're also eradicating the possibility of developing diabetes or Alzheimer's. I have to admit, I have never really understood the mechanism of sugar, insulin, fat, and diabetes. But it's actually very simple and quite horrific to contemplate. Sugar is as much a poison as those seed oils we talked about yesterday, so let me explain why. When you eat too many carbs for the body to use at once, you overwhelm your carb storage capability, which is not at all huge, and essentially all the excess sugar goes into the bloodstream. Insulin is then released by the pancreas to mop it all up. Basically, the insulin takes that extra sugar, cleans it from the blood, and turns it into fat. Then it locks it into that emergency cupboard. Then a message is sent to the brain to eat more in the hope that you might eat some protein or fat. But the likelihood is you'll just eat more carbs to satisfy the hunger craving that you're feeling. And this is why when you eat a packet of biscuits, you could probably easily eat another whole packet of biscuits within an hour. That hunger craving will never be satisfied by carbs alone. It's a horrible, endless circle. The only way to break that circle is to eat fat and protein too whenever you eat carbs, and not let the insulin surge in the first place. Never overwhelm the carb storage. And that's the crux of this eating plan. Insulin resistance, as it's called, is basically the pancreas saying, you know what? This person won't stop eating too many carbs, and I've had it. I'm not coming out anymore. Let him or her take the consequences of this constant attack of sugar in the body. And it just gives up. It's not so much insulin resistance as insulin denial. The body's had enough. It can be reversed though. I have hypnotherapy clients who were told that they were pre-diabetic. The body was obviously raising a warning flag that it was at the end of its tether. The consequences of leaving the sugar in the blood are catastrophic, literally. Imagine a big fat red blood cell with a huge sugar cube stuck on top of it. And it's so bulky it can't get into the smallest capillaries like the eye or your toe. So you might go blind or get gangrene. And it makes your blood sticky. And the excess sugar can bind to skin proteins like collagen. So if you imagine, collagen is like scaffolding under the skin to keep everything taut and firm. And the excess sugar smashes that scaffolding apart so things sag and get wrinkly. But it is reversible. And like everything we're talking about on this podcast, the way to reverse it is to eat greens, beans, fruit, nuts and seeds. That should be our mantra. Greens, beans, fruits, nuts and seeds. It might take 3 to 6 months apparently for the skin restoration to happen. But let's see where we are in 8 weeks. In the longer term, Alzheimer's is comorbid with sugar consumption. Just consuming 2 teaspoons of sugar a day, and you might do that in just 1 cup of tea, pushes you into the high-risk group. And it's not only the sugar in your tea which can damage your brain. The biggest risk comes from the lactose in the milk. Time to move towards black and herbal teas, maybe. This is a bit of a depressing podcast, isn't it? Well, on a brighter note, on this day 5, I woke to find I'd lost another ½ a pound. But the biggest news is my waist has got smaller, down to 35.5 from 37, and the hips lost another ½ an inch. So it's slowly, steadily, but indisputably leaving. Even if I only lose ½ a pound a day for 60 days, I'll be 30 pounds lighter in 2 months. But I'm aiming for a bit more than that. We'll see. Until tomorrow.